Hi there friends, Steve here. Yeah, I wanted to talk today about losing your mind. Have you ever felt like you've lost your mind? Like every time you try and concentrate or contemplate that there's like some burning going on in there and you've blown a fuse and you just can't think anymore, and it can get really frustrating. You know, maybe you've gone out for a walk into the woods or to the lake or to the sea to try and find some kind of inner peace, to try and find some kind of resolution. You know, when you lose your mind, you don't really probably realise how close to finding yourself you are, you know, because you're not your mind. I am not my mind. You know, I have a mind. I have a body, you know. I have a heart, I have a spirit. And in our modern civilization, our minds are very taxed. We're using our minds all the time to calculate costs, and to calculate time, and to talk, to use words, to communicate, to invent things and everything else. So the mind is a really useful tool, just the same as a computer. But you would never say, I am my computer. And you would never identify yourself with the contents of your hard drive on your computer. Even though you'd been on the internet and collected a lot of that information, you still wouldn't necessarily agree with all of that information. You accept it being on your hard drive, and you accept the fact that you know that information, and you also accept the fact that maybe you thought that information was correct and now you don't. So your mind can update itself, and your mind has this constant babble, this constant talking. And for example, you can contemplate, you can look at what's going on in your mind. You can have a conversation in your head that carries on, and you find that when you've got a lot of troubles and maybe you're walking through the woods or walking down the street, that you're not even actually on the street. You're more in your mind thinking, oh yeah, what shall I do? And you're not now, in the now time. You're like kind of in the future or in the past, and you're reviewing scenes from your mind to try and get some kind of logical thing. Well, sometimes the mind can't actually come to a conclusion, and the mind doesn't really want to come to a conclusion, because you've given your mind probably a great amount of attention over the years, and your mind is used to being the one who makes the decisions. Your mind is the one who's used to being the boss in this reality, because you know, because of the amount of thinking that we need to do. We're very taxed in the mind. But realising all that, you realise that that you are perception. You are you, the I. I am perception. You are perception. You perceive the world. You see the world, not just with your eyes, but with your senses, and with all kinds of senses that go beyond the five senses that we have. So moving this energy from here, you know, sometimes you get a real headache from thinking and stuff, and if you can manage to like kind of turn off that inner dialogue of the mind that's constantly talking to itself, you talking to yourself, you focusing your attention on your thoughts, instead of doing that, just to stop that, to trust that your mind will continue like a computer, continue to calculate its calculations in the other room while you're out having fun. So moving the energy from here, from your head down to your heart, and to start to perceive the world more from your centre, from your heart, between your heart and your gut even. And you find that you can actually make great decisions from your heart. At first it seems a little strange, because you think, oh yeah, it's just coming from my brain. But we're too obsessed, I feel, with the brain, and the fact that the brain does everything, and it's amazing and that. But it's like saying it's like saying a computer is amazing, but the computer's connected to internet. So when you go onto your computer, you've got access to millions and trillions and zillions of files and information, documents and videos and stuff coming through that little wire. It's not on your computer. Just the same as the brain has got access to a lot more information than what you just simply perceive and learn. There's a lot going on subconsciously, and there's a lot being controlled from outside forces. And so this is one of the things that I came to realise. It is the power of the mind to pretend to be your master. And the mind works, it's a very powerful tool, and it works in a timeline. It has a timeline of its own. In fact, time doesn't really exist like we think it exists, but the time has its own definition and builds a construction in chronological order of the events that you've experienced. Your actual perception only happens now, right now, you know, and the mind, it doesn't really exist in now, and it really yearns to know what existence is and to know what consciousness is. But consciousness is really basically just us focusing our awareness and seeing us. It's like if you can see yourself watching this video now, you can see me, you can see yourself sitting in the chair in front of the computer watching me, and at the point where you can watch me and know you're watching me is the point where you're slightly awake and in control of your own attention. And so, you know, attention is an interesting thing. You know, attention isn't a part of the mind really. You know, I can put my attention into my right hand here, and as I begin to move my fingers, my voice slows down because my attention is going into my hand, and so the attention is here, and now the attention is back here. I can move that attention down to my feet by simply concentrating on my feet, or into my stomach, am I hungry, or into my shoulders, you know, am I relaxed, you know. So I can focus attention at the speed of light or faster, and it doesn't have to remain in the head. And so one of the little exercises I started to do, and it worked really well, was to actually bring that attention down to my heart and gut, stomach, and keep it around there. So if I walk into a room full of people, to feel what my heart and my stomach are feeling like, and to appreciate that the feelings that are coming into my heart, anger, sadness, sorrow, love, hate, all of these different feelings, are not necessarily coming from within me. They could be coming from outside of me. You know, if somebody else is angry, I can be picking up on that frequency of anger, and it'll be resonating with my heart. So if I'm mistaken, then I'll feel that, like, I'm angry, but I'm not angry. I'm just focusing on my heart, feeling the anger of somebody else. And so then using my heart to kind of heal that anger and find a solution to that anger, rather than using my mind to do that. I don't know if you get where I'm coming from. It's a very difficult situation. It's a very difficult thing to explain. There's kind of three states of presence. Like, one is like asleep, where you're completely unconscious, it seems. And one is like presence, where you just are in the totally now time, experiencing the world for what it is, with all of the senses, with no like consideration, without any constant chatter in the head, without reviewing the situation. So imagine you're on a roller coaster. You're actually in the now time, going down that roller coaster or going down that road, or experiencing what you're experiencing right now, no later or no earlier. And the heart is faster than the mind. The heart can pick up on all of that, and the spirit, the stomach, can pick up on all of that. And so that's ultimate presence, and that is a wonderful, blissful state to be in. You know, even in states of danger and excitement, it's a wonderful state to be in, just pure presence, ultimate bliss. You will find, though, especially when you're more alone, that you start to talk to yourself, and oh yeah, that was good, and to talk to yourself about old experience and what you could have done better, what happened, and then you look at that again, and then you maybe find an anomaly, something that you did wrong, and then you start to worry about that and try not to do that again. Well, in a way, it's better to save that contemplation and to sit down in a kind of meditation and to do it properly, not to sort of like halfway through the day, halfway down the street, halfway in the car, halfway in the restaurant, just to sit there and try and like contemplate your life. It's better off just to sit there, for example, in the restaurant or in the car, and to completely be present. Trust your mind is working. Your mind always works. You'll never lose your mind. It's working for you, and it's constantly calculating. As soon as your mind gets a conclusion that's important, it sends out like a message on your screen, you know, like when you get like a little message box at the bottom of your screen, a little warning or something, you know, it pops up in your awareness. It grabs your attention while you're busy like looking at the little kids playing and you know, looking at the wonderful flowers and enjoying each bite of the food piece for piece, you know, because most of the time we sit at the table and we throw the food in, oh that's nice, blah 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 blah, mental, blah blah, talking, blah blah blah, without really appreciating the flavour of the food, without really appreciating the ambience in the room, without appreciating right now. You know, so it's quite a good exercise to, every time you notice yourself talking to yourself, consider whether it's better to wait till later until you've gone to the toilet to think, and the rest of the time spend in presence. If you can watch yourself watching the world, then that's the first step to looking at your own attention. Where is my attention? At the moment your attention's probably focused on the screen, but if you focus on my hand, you know, you can still see my face. You know, you can focus on my hand and you can focus on everything else that's going around. But while you're watching a film or a video, it's capturing your attention and holding it probably to the middle of the screen, and so you're not really in control of your attention at that point. You've kind of been devoured by the medium itself. As you're devouring and consuming the video and the sound and the video is consuming you equally, kind of thing. So yeah, that's about all I've got time for, I guess, on this video. Like I say, you know, I mean, it's just interesting. I find it interesting, you know, if you just turn your mind off, just the fact that it's going to send you any important information, and you can just get on with life and enjoying life, and just spend all of those moments, all of those seconds, minutes, hours, days, just looking, perceiving, feeling, bringing the energy down to your heart, and trying to look at a plant and feel emotional about a plant or a tree, to feel emotional about a person, to not worry about what people think, but more worry about how people feel. Because sometimes somebody's like talking a load of stuff at you, and you think that's crazy, but if you switch into your heart, you can listen to what they're saying on a different level. You can then find out that it's the way they feel that's actually got more volition, more weight behind it than the words themselves, you know, because the words are just attempting to communicate some kind of conclusion in the brain. And yeah, so it's a lot to do with the heart, and like I say, you know, presence is just bliss, and not having to worry and constantly. So let your mind do the work. Lose your mind. You know, it won't go away. And yeah, so stay present and have a nice day. Cheerio.